It is a beautiful spring day here in Vineland, and I'm just sending you a short newsletter to ask for your prayers. Tomorrow I'm leaving for Africa, and I'm super excited to be able to go to Africa to visit and check in on some of our FIM missionaries. We have 2 missionaries serving in Nigeria, 2 missionaries serving in Uganda, and these member care trips are so important. They're important to our missionaries. They're important to us as a team caring for them. Right now, Dean and Francisco, our member care team, are getting back from visiting our FIM missionaries in Mexico. 10 different families. They traveled all over Mexico. They're coming back. I believe they're on their way back to Pennsylvania today. And it's super exciting to do these visits and to be a part of the lives of these missionaries, to be able to care for them. It's really a great privilege to be able to do that. I want to thank you. Many of you have helped us in the funds necessary for these 2 trips, the Mexico trip for Dean and Francisco, my trip coming up to Africa. Almost $6,000 has been donated by so many of our friends and ministry partners of the missionaries that we're going to visit, and that funding enables us to go and visit and take these trips, and they're more than sightseeing trips. We have a lot of fun, but we are providing spiritual care and talking to our missionaries, helping them with their ministry plan and their strategy, and communicating their story to you as churches and individuals and supporters, so that you can know what they're doing and how you can pray for them, and how you can be involved in partnering in their ministry. My first visit to Africa was in 2006. I went with Steve Wilt, the prior director of FIM. We went to visit a Faith Bible Church missionary in Ghana. And Steve and I became real good friends. The board chairman of FIM was there, and one of our deacons from Faith Bible Church was with me as well. We got connected. Steve and I got to know each other, and about a year after that I became a board member at FIM. And little did I know, 10 years later I'd be the director of FIM, the position we're serving in today. So we're super thankful for that. We're excited. When we think of Africa, there's a lot of mystery about Africa. We kind of just think of one kind of description of Africa and whatever pictures come to your mind. But Africa is the second most populated continent on the face of the planet Earth. There are 54 countries in Africa, and it's certainly the poorest continent in the world, and there's much poverty. About half of the population of Africa, the various countries of Africa, are under the age of 18. Gives you a little picture of how much poverty and the early death rate that there is from disease and from war and famine and so many other challenges they have in Africa. One of the challenges for many countries, including Nigeria and Uganda, is security. Just a couple of weeks ago, we all heard of the massacre of 50 Muslims that were worshiping in their mosques, 2 different mosques in New Zealand. And the world responded with sympathy and outrage and shock, and certainly all of those emotions are appropriate for what happened. But that same week, there were hundreds of Christians killed in Africa. And even in these countries of Nigeria, between February and March, there were 200 Christians killed in their villages in the northern part of Africa. And that goes unreported. It doesn't get talked about. And one of the prayer requests that I have in this trip to Nigeria and Uganda is that the Lord would allow me to just be able to listen and hear the stories and find out more about our brothers and sisters who are facing persecution on a daily basis, who live in dangerous places, certainly, but who are serving the Lord and establishing churches. And one of the great needs throughout Africa is the need for theological training. Be going to Uganda, teaching at the Word of Life Bible Institute there, teaching pastoral epistles, a course that I've taught in the Philippines before, but this is my first time teaching it in Uganda, visiting 2 of our missionaries in Uganda, and then in Nigeria, visiting 2 missionaries who are heading up 2 different seminaries to train the local pastors in Nigeria, not only to reach people in Nigeria, but throughout Africa and throughout the rest of the world. The Lord is raising up missionaries from countries like Nigeria and Kenya and Uganda, and they're going to places that many from North America couldn't go to. They're places where we would not be welcome. There would be too much cultural difficulty, and these believers in Christ are accomplishing the task of the Great Commission in a really, really profound way. And by training and establishing seminaries and Bible schools and filling that need for theological education, we can really help help our brothers and sisters in countries like Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, so many others. So if you would keep me in your prayers as I travel Nigeria first and then Uganda. I'll be sending updates from there, but really wanted to connect with you today to just ask for your prayers. Pray for Kim as she's home and for our family. I pray for our son who's in Africa on a deployment right now. He's serving a different purpose than my ministry there in Africa, and certainly far away from where I'm going to be. But we certainly appreciate your prayers. We thank you for your financial support, and for those of you that have given to help us make these ministry trips possible, we really, really appreciate it, and just so thankful. So God bless you, and I'll see you in Africa.